welcome, and please come into our office, the Bucky and the horse box. Let we show you what we did this past year, which was extremely challenging. But I think the people in the Cape Flats and everywhere in Cape Town, the surrounding areas, they got a little bit irritated and frustrated. And the result was extreme violent protest actions. And if I say extreme violent protest actions, I mean it is not only the normal burning of the tires in the street, but it's also the stone throwing at the cars, and became extremely dangerous. And most of the routes would be the routes that we have to take to get to our horses. It would be this particular photo at the bottom would be just behind us. It would be Stellenbosch Arterial, Symphony Way, Lower Lansdowne Road, by Mission Station, Danafontein. So we had to find various of ways to get to our horses. Sometimes we had to turn back, that we couldn't get to our horses. So it was a tough one. The protest actions, the law enforcement agencies, the SAPs and law enforcement, that they did what they could, and that's exactly what they did, what they could. We all were extremely glad for all the rain that we received, that we had the past year. It was wonderful. It was really fantastic. But accompanied with the rain was a heck of a lot of flooding. Now, this photo was taken in a formal build-up area called Netrag. It was during these floods. You can see the waters covered the tarmac road. The floods are going into the stables, into the garage areas, and into the homes. Now, this is a build-up area. Now, I just want you to picture an informal settlement where the water table is very high, where the water is now coming from below and from above, and what it will look like and what it should feel like there. Many of our horses, or some of our horses, had to be evacuated. Funny, it was really very difficult with the floods and then the protest actions as well. During all the wonders of nature providing us with water, nature provided us with life as well. This mare fell down, and that poor foal was born in a very cold night, and was suffer of hypothermia. And the owner phoned us, and of course we went to fetch the foal. And by the time the foal got to Epping, the vet was already waiting for the foal. And here Taryn and Dr. Lee was really fighting for her life. They managed to get some space blanket to get the foal warm, but the foal didn't make it. Now, I've got a very extreme cynical opinion with regards to the foal that sadly died. I don't know whether I'm glad or whether I'm sad. Sad in the sense that this foal was born on a very cold night. This foal never had the joys of life. It was hungry. It died. I'm glad that I know that this foal will never ever be cold again, never ever be put in a cart, never ever be abused or go hungry. So if that is my view. If it's too cynical for you, I truly apologize. I truly don't know what to say about gang violence. I've mentioned it in my reports. Our government think they know all about the gang violence that's happening in the Cape Flats. They don't. Our local government thinks that they know everything that's happening about the gang violence in the Cape Flats. Trust me, they don't. They might know a little bit more than our national government. We at Cartos, we've got a fair insight of what's happening on the Cape Flats with relation to the gang violence and the shooting. And it horrifies us. It's terrible. And if it horrifies us, can you even begin to imagine what the people on the Cape Flats should feel and look like and live like during these violence? And the violence is random, they're brutal, And for times we refer to the areas when there's lots of shooting that the areas are hot. And for times it's weeks on end when the areas remain hot, so to speak. You stand in front of the house the 1 minute, and the next minute you hear the gunshots. It's a complete ripple effect, not only on the karting industry, but it's got a ripple effect of the people of the Cape Flats, and it's a negative effect. In this specific case, this gentleman lying there, his name was Wasif Muhammad. His nickname was nogal Spag. And Melanie confiscated his last horse, Nancy, who's still at R&R. Now, he went from Bontevel to visit a friend, and he went through the wrong area, and he was killed. I refer to the ripple effect of what the gangs have. When I refer to the ripple effect of what the gangs have in the industry, it is that I feel at times the gangs, the shooting of the gangs and the violence of the gangs are holding the people hostage in their own homes. The horses couldn't go out to work. They couldn't come in to us to buy feed for the horses. In this scenario, in this case, this gentleman stay in, Dawn, you might even know this, him is Sadiq Barnett, from the days when you were chairperson. This gentleman stay in Bontevel, and his 24-hour-old foal was bitten with by a dog, which is normally under normal circumstances very easy to treat. But because the foal was so young, we got the vet out. And the vet was treating her, and then the vet, we had to do follow-up treatments. But because the area was very volatile, the vet decided to change the follow-up treatment to oral meds that the owner can give the medication to the foal himself, which is all good. So the horse and foal was loaded up in the horse box, and when on our way, the owner said, "But listen, you can't take the main foal to my house because it's too dangerous. You need to leave it, or you need to drop me off at my friend's house where it's the safest," which is still okay. What we did, drop them off. What we didn't know was that the owner then phoned someone else to collect the foal and him and took it to his house. So he separated then the mare and foal. And I think his line of thinking was that he has to give the medication to the foal. Now, as you know, a foal needs needs milk, and the owner decided, well, cow milk will have to do it for now, which then brought a lot of other problems. And I don't think I have to tell you the outcome of this poor foal. And this is sad. And I'm not glad because of this. Be inspector for carters on the Cape Flats, where horses are working to generate their income, is as difficult as hell. We at carters, I don't want to say, but once every day, one item of those lists will happen to one of our inspectors. The verbal abuse comes with a lot of aggression, death threats, criticism. We get criticized from the public, from family, from friends, from colleagues. We get criticized. We are being blamed that we assist the horses, or we help with the abuse of the horses because we allow the horses to work on the Cape Flats. Racism. When you remove a horse, racism is one of the first cards after they sworn at your mother and they tell you what you are. Racism is one of the first cards that's played. But not only the carters operators, also from the public. Disrespect, and then you know, as an inspector, it doesn't matter what you decide to do with regards to abuse. Someone will always be angry with you, but you need to, that doesn't need to matter. What we need to do is what is the best outcome for the horse. I've left assault for last. our chairperson referred to the assault of Julisi. That was when she and Melanie wanted to confiscate a horse, and then Julisi was assaulted. And Julisi, it's true what she said, she did stand up, and we continue. And we are not scared. We are definitely not scared, but we are aware that these things can happen to us. I refer earlier in my report, earlier in my talk, I referred to the gang violence, but I feel I am actually going to mention it. There were gang shooting the end of last week Thursday, and a bullet hit one of our cart horses. Rhino, you are here. It happened in Eitzig, and the horse was taken to Blue Cross, and the wound caused so much damage that the horse had to be put to sleep. Now you can only imagine that ripple effect. Just before we went on air, I had a phone call from another owner in Malawi camp. His horse was here this morning, Francie, and on his way to Malawi camp through Bishop Lavers, two people, gangs started shooting at his horse. Both drivers are injured. The horse is okay. So that is it. It is so random. You never know when it can start. Right. Now, if this horse was in good condition, had nice shoe, was properly fitted, good harness, good working cart, then we would probably look a different way. We would stop and we would talk a lot of nonsense and make joke with the drivers. But this is abuse, and this is a non-registered horse working. This is pleasure horse, non-registered horse. The cart is badly loaded. The half of the load is hanging off at the back. The wheel is getting flat. It's so heavy that the two gentlemen can't even push the horse. The same thing here. Look at the condition of this poor horse. I wish you can see him now. He's at R&R. He's absolutely beautiful. Non-registered horse. Pleasure horses. Now, this is where we have to start asking the question. All these photographs that I've discussed with you are pleasure horses and non-registered horses. There's currently an influx of pleasure horses and horses that's being used as non-registered horses to work. And the worst of all is like this gentleman, they can't really take care of their horses. So what do? You go, you treat the horse, because the guys know, if I buy a horse, veterinary is for free, because carters don't turn their back on sick horses. But now you get to a yard like this and the horse is thin. You can't turn your back because the horse is in need of help. Now you think to yourself, what do? Do I help with feed? But our mandate is the working cart horse. But you can't turn your back. So you end up helping the horses with feed. And then what do? If they see they get help from us, not this specific owner, they go and they buy 2 more horses. We cannot register all the pleasure and the non-registered horses on cartels. We will need many more farriers. Our budget will triple. There are just so many. We will have to find a way or an organization to look after these horses. And if I say we have to stop the influx of these horses, you know, it's nearly like I want to say, go to Saron or wherever they buy the horses and say, please, do you realize that when you sell the horses to the people on the Cape Flats that they suffer? I don't know how we're going to do that. I really, truly don't know. But we have a heck of a lot of pleasure horses that's not being looked after, and a lot of non-registered horses on the roads currently. We do have control over the registered working horses. We do have a problem with the pleasure horses and the non-register horses.